Hi, I'm Mike London. I'm visiting with artists and arts leaders who work here in the Miami Valley. Culture Works supports a wide range of artists and arts organization, and these interviews and our chance to talk together um, is an opportunity for you to get to know some of the artists that live and work right here with us. So today, I'm talking with Jess McMillan. Hey, Jess. Uh,
Hey,
So I'm not going to do a big introduction. I mean, I've seen your work and I got a lot of questions for you, and I love what you're doing and have been doing, but I'm not going to talk about it. So tell me, who are you? You're an artist, but who are you as an artist? Yeah, you tell us.
I am a mosaic artist. That is the art form that I love and started doing when I was 16 years old. So at this point, I've been doing it for longer than 22 years. um, I do all kinds of different mosaics. Right now, I'm pretty focused on trying to put as many in the sidewalks as I can.
Yes. What? Tell me what that's about.
We did our first sidewalk pieces a few years ago in Miamisburg, the historic Miamisburg walking tour.
Yeah.
And then a year later, we almost tripled the size of that project in a neighborhood in Kettering,
Oh,
Haverstick, where we did a hopscotch and some bumblebees.
oh, wow. How does that come about? I mean, whose
Well,
idea? What a great one.
these are in Miamisburg. We kind of had the idea and approached the city and said, how can we do something like this? And so we worked really closely with Parks and Recreation and some of the city government in Miamisburg to apply for a grant from the Ohio Arts Council and work through that. And then in Haverstick with Kettering, we answered a call for public art. As you know, their cities of service and their local arts are amazing in Kettering.
Yeah.
So we answered one of those calls and we ended up winning, and they added more money to the budget and the project grew, and it ended up being this great thing. A lot of kids worked on the hopscotch and the bumblebees, so it was an amazing experience.
Wow. So when you first started, you said you were young. But let me ask this question first, because I'm always curious. I mean, why are you a mosaic artist? Why not, I mean, a singer? I mean, you're a creative person. What was it about what it is with working with, was it the materials? Was it the design? I mean, I'm really curious. Why are you a mosaic artist and not another artist?
That is a good question. I am, I have more of a engineering artist mind, and I've never been a fine artist. I've never been a painter. Not super good at drawing, definitely able to communicate my ideas, but nothing to hang on the gallery walls. So when I was introduced to Mosaic, it is more, I think, the technical aspect of using the tools to break up the materials. And then also you really have to love puzzles, I guess.
Puzzles. I hadn't
Yeah.
thought of that. Yeah. So, so what are some of the tools? I mean, for those of us who
Um,
don't know.
yeah, my main tool is Mosaic Nipper is what it's called. And it looks like a plier tool. And it has two wheels, and the wheels come together and snap that glass.
Wow. So is glass the primary material that you work with?
It is the primary material I use in all of our indoor stuff, in my personal commissions, and in the Mosaic Institute's walk-in studio. But everything outdoor is porcelain because that is what is going to last longer than the concrete.
Wow. What's the difference between, for those of us who don't know, what's the difference between porcelain and glass that allows it to, do you know? Can you tell us that?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Glass is completely non-porous and is also very reactive to temperature, like a conductor. So nothing is ever really going to stick to it forever. You have to heat it up and fuse it to other materials like glass.
Yeah.
Um, the gluing is always going to be temporary with it. And then with the freeze and thaw, especially with outside projects, you don't want to use glass. We did use some glass in some of our beginning murals in town when I was working for the K-12 gallery. And just through trial and error, we learned what materials and processes were going to be best for those. And now I strictly use porcelain outdoors because it is porous. It can really glue and attach to that concrete. And with porcelain, it's not going to be ceramic. So when you see some mosaics, you'll notice as they deteriorate, you'll see like, you know, a white spot in the middle of that tile. That's because the color is only painted on the surface and that wears away, where porcelain is the same color completely through, like clay.
Yeah.
Complete. So it's just better for wearing and better for, you know, aging over time, especially outside.
Wow. That's fascinating. These are things that we just, unless you're see, I assume the primary tool, now this is, all right, what do I know? I assume the primary tool, if you were a mosaic artist, would be a hammer, just to bust all that stuff up. But that's not what you're doing. It's more deliberate than that.
No, a hammer was used quite a bit in historic methods,
See, I'm
but
historical.
yeah, I make very deliberate cuts most of the time. Sometimes with the kids, we'll break a whole sheet on the floor just because it's really exciting and that kind of goes its own natural way. But most of the cuts are very deliberate.
Yeah. So did you do other art before you were exposed to this when you were young?
I'm sure I did painting and scratchboard and everything, you know, in a high school art classes, crafts.
Sure.
I tried everything. I did spend most of my time in the art room, and I just really I made my first mosaic. That was it for me. It was more and more mosaics, and they kept getting bigger and bigger.
So, and did you continue that with school?
I did. I continued to make mosaics wherever I could, whether I was living in the dorms or in an apartment. I found a way to have a little area to cut glass and have continued to make my own pieces. And then whenever I could work them into school projects, I did that too.
Wow. So what about, I'm just thinking the time, there are some art forms, um, it takes us a long time. Other times it goes quickly. I don't know about a mosaic because it seems like a puzzle to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's many different techniques and many different mosaic artists out there using lots of different materials. Technically, a mosaic is, you know, assemblage of bits and pieces coming together to make one giant piece, which is why I have always used that as a great metaphor for community. You know, all these
Mhm.
pieces coming together to make one big, beautiful
Yeah.
picture. So it kind of fits perfectly with that. But mosaics can be, I mean, they can be made out of marbles, toy cars, paper, all kinds of different things. So there's a wide variety of what you can do with that art out there.
You've done a lot of teaching. Uh, you've taught children and you've taught adults.
hmm
Um, is it which is easier? I'm just curious for you.
Well, they are two sides of the same coin. Um, Well, teaching and learning, I would say, are two sides of the same coin. But the difference between adults and children, all of it is about connecting, I would say. And each is great in its own way. But I also am learning from my students all the time, and that is a part of it. You know, my personal lesson students, sometimes they want to, you know, cover a mannequin or a cow skull or try these wild ideas. And I'm like, okay, you know, let's figure out how to make this happen, make this possible. And exploring some of those things together, you know, that teaches me and evolves what I'm doing too.
So you have to, when you're working on a piece, or if I was working on something, I really need to plan it out ahead of time, or I'm just
I
curious.
do. I a lot of times will sketch and transfer designs, or even I have painted on my mosaic canvases, which are usually some kind of a stone board material.
Okay.
The same stuff you would use in the bathroom wall when you're going to tile it.
Right.
That just lasts, longer with that material on it. So I do like to sketch out and kind of follow a pattern, but with the thousands and thousands of pieces that end up on the canvas by the end, you can't possibly see it all. It definitely evolves each day, as more and more pieces and areas in the mosaic are addressed.
So it changes. So you may have a design, and then as you're putting it together, it may take a little different shape.
Yes, artists, all of us are transmitting, energy and
Mhm.
feelings that are associated with what we are going through in life and on a daily basis, and feeling and where we are in our family, and the beauty that we see, where we are emotionally with, inside with ourselves, and all these things come out, and that is different, maybe from week to week. So sometimes you have Picasso's blue period, and sometimes you have you know
I'm wondering, did you ever begin a piece that you were working on, and then because of the nature of the material, or whatever, did it change and all of a sudden I mean, have you ever had a real surprise when you were working on something and end up seeing something that you never saw before?
I have, it's interesting, I have done larger mosaics and then come back later and have found details that have, lines that meet up and details that
Mhm.
have formed, and it's just like, wow, I didn't intentionally do this. It just kind of happened here. I can't remember it. It wasn't a plan. So it's pretty neat. Um, I did learn too that I can really hide anything in them. I have
Really?
written words as tall as a foot tall, and they have not been read in these mosaics. So that's kind of a fun thing.
Oh, that's like secrets.
Hmm.
That's like Jess's secrets. I like that. Oh, that's fun. Oh, wow. So we could learn to do that. Okay, you got my curiosity up. When you're working, what I know you've done work outside, you've done
Hmm.
interior work that's permanent on a wall, you've done pieces that you can hang or portable in different ways. So so what's your favorite? What is that when you get up and you've got five things, what's the one that go, oh, that's the one I want to do because it's just so much fun? What's the one that really gets you excited?
Hmm. I gotta say, these big porcelain pieces are getting me pretty excited. They're very unique, and it took us, many years of experience to work up to what we're doing now. And so, that makes it even sweeter to be doing these things too. So I really love. I can't wait to see where these go. I just love them to be all over Dayton one day. So.
When you're working, because so many of us have never done this before. I mean, sometimes the most we've ever done is try to fix something that broke and glue it back together. But when you're working, what's the thing that's the most difficult about it
Well,
or
there,
challenging?
yeah, there's certain things like portraits.
Mhm.
Things like that are more challenging. I work with painters a lot to try to learn how to be a better mosaic artist. For example, like, how do you mosaic atmosphere in a piece of art? Because I cannot paint it, I cannot change it. It's really taken a material that another artist has made, and then breaking that up, or creating a physical change with that material to create a new art. So it becomes challenging, to get the flesh tones and to get the eyes are very difficult. That if those are wrong, you space
Everything's
is
ri
not running
yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I know that you've done animals. Um, do you have a favorite?
I did a bull. That has been my
Oh,
favorite living
yes.
creature I think that I've done. The Victor Mosaic is one of my favorite ones because I am a Taurus bull.
And where is that now?
I actually just gave that to my nephew who turned 10 years old. He is a Taurus 2 teacher, which is the same, he was born in the same week astrologically as me. And the mosaic is it's kind of a self-portrait. It is called the Victor, as I said, and it is a bull leaping victoriously, but you can obviously see that he's been through battle. He's got some wounds, and it was important for me as an artist to pass that on to him and my family. And he's so young. I get good feelings of thinking about him, looking at that as he's growing up. And I got to tell him that, not only am I that bull, but he's that bull. And these are all the things that he is going to survive. And so it was a really sweet and great experience. Probably one of the best things I've ever done with a piece of art I've created.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, there's just so many layers, with when we create a piece of art, just like you're saying, there are just so many layers of experience.
Hmm.
There's that experience you have when you create it, and then the experience of someone buying it or giving it, or yeah, the list goes on and on. Yeah, fascinating. So, do you have other favorite pieces that you've done?
Let's see.
If not the piece itself, I'm thinking of the experience.
The experience. I did. We painted a mural in Miamisburg, which is a little different than what we normally do. We do painted murals sometimes, but it is not our main focus. But in Miamisburg, we taped off about 400 feet of levee wall into a mosaic. You've seen the painted mosaic. You can tape it off and paint the shapes and peel the tape off, and boom, you got a
Right.
mosaic. So we did that, all along this wall, and we color dotted the shapes. And so in one evening during River Blasts, where they have fireworks and games and food and music, the entire city of Miamisburg, from 1 years old to, I don't know, 99 years old, painted this mural in one evening together.
Oh my.
And it was an incredible experience to see something happen so fast. These collaborative projects sometimes can take a long time, and just for this whole wall to be covered in one evening, and everybody had such a great experience, and every person could get involved in it. It really was like, okay, we got this one. We got everybody with this one. It was awesome.
That sounds. Do you remember the first time you had that kind of experience doing a mural? I mean, a collaborative.
Yeah, let's see, really, when I finished college in Pittsburgh and moved back home to Dayton and met Jerry of K-12 Gallery,
Yes.
she really pushed me into, the community sector and collaborative art. And it just really shifted my path from there. I loved learning to teach it and give it away and create even bigger and more amazing things with more people and have more of a positive impact. And so, her kind of showing me and starting me down that road really shifted everything. And, here's the Mosaic Institute 10 years after that. And now the Mosaic Institute is 5 years old.
Oh my goodness. Do me a favor. For those people who know nothing about it, tell us about the Mosaic Institute of Dayton.
The Mosaic Institute is a nonprofit. It's a 501c3, and I founded about 5 years ago in Miamisburg, right on the edge of Montgomery County. And I grew in Miamisburg for about 3 years, and then I moved to Dayton, and I have been here for about 2 years. And when we first came to Dayton, we privately fundraised, and actually we had a fifth Fifth Street Brew Pub fundraiser. So we did a couple different things. And then we rented the lift and we climbed up there and we painted the bird mural at Kiwi and First, which is our, hey, we're here in town. We're going to do amazing things. Here's our first shot.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. I felt really excited to bring the Mosaic Institute to Dayton and just get back into, working with more diverse community groups. And we did amazing things in Miamisburg. It was great. We've got the walking tour there. We donated over a dozen murals to that city, painted and
Wow.
mosaic murals. There's a beautiful, another one of my favorites, a beautiful American Legion eagle mosaic on the exterior of the American Legion on Main Street in
Yep.
Miamisburg. It is beautiful, and we made that with vets. Many good memories and amazing Mosaic Institute pieces in Miamisburg. And now that we're here in Dayton, we have shifted gears to try to get some bigger public pieces downtown. And we also focus on smaller community service efforts, such as we made during quarantine, we made craft kits to go, so people could buy a pay it forward craft kit for $5, and we assembled groups of 50 craft kits at a time and dropped them off to the East End Community Services, which is in the Twin Towers neighborhood where I live, and 50 to Artemis. Because right now the kids can't even really play with the toys, in the waiting room. So
Yeah.
these packages are just a really good positive thing to do. So there's things like that. And then there's, of course, all the artwork we're trying to get into as much as possible.
Are there other artists that are working with you?
I do have my main man, Mr. Vincent Dietrich. He has been with me for probably 4 years. He's had hands in all kinds of things. He did one of the blocks in the walking tour Miamisburg completely by himself. So he has a personal piece in that. And my goodness, the gym, the Nine Doves, the big pieces that we've done downtown recently, and all the little things in between with the kids and Miamisburg. He's been there right beside me. And I have lots of volunteers. With the Nine Doves, I brought in 2 other mosaic artists and other volunteers for that project too. So the team is growing.
That's great. What about if I wanted to learn? Where should I go if I want to learn something about how to, I mean, and maybe it's not, because I know so much is still closed down. We're doing all of these interviews in the middle of the pandemic. But if I wanted to study and I wanted to learn how to create a mosaic and not cut myself while I was doing it with the glass, where would I go?
You can come into the Mosaic Institute walk-in studio on Saturdays, noon to 5, and you can get an introductory taste of Mosaic, learn to use the tool. You have to sign a waiver, you wear the goggles. The glass is all pre-cut, so it doesn't need to be cut. So younger, smaller children coming in, we don't need to do that. But, for the adults, you usually like to use the tool and fine tune those pieces to really fit the design. So that is an open walk-in situation on your schedule. During those hours, you can come in and make a mosaic. I grout it for you. You pick it up the next Saturday. Now, I'm not completely open yet. We're still kind of trying to figure some things out, but I am available on Saturdays for reservation. So if you'd like to learn how to mosaic, you can make a reservation with me right now and come in, and I'll show you how not to cut yourself.
Yeah, that's such a great concept. How to create art and not injure yourself in the process. So if somebody's watching and they want to go, oh, I want to know, is there a website? Where would I go to learn about your work, but also to learn about the Institute?
Yes, the website is midayton.org. and that is Everything Mosaic Institute. And I have a page on there with my work and talking about who I am and all those things too.
Oh, cool. That is so cool. Um, I'm curious. I know we have a real journey, those of us who are working in the arts, and things are not always the same. I'm curious what inspires you now when you're creating some. What inspires you?
Well, I guess I would say I draw inspiration from different things, depending. If I am doing a community effort, I am focusing on people and connection and kind of, drawing inspiration from a positive impact that what I'm doing, could make.
Sure.
And when I'm working on some of my own personal pieces, it could be a beautiful color that I've seen, or even a song, or my beautiful girlfriend who inspires a piece
Yeah,
of art that I'm working on. It could be anything.
that's great. Now, speaking of anything, you have an interesting piece right behind your head there. Whose
Hmm.
is that? What is that? I'm nosy here.
This I You know what? We have to ask Kate. This is her painting.
Is it Kate's?
Sorry, it is Kate's painting.
Oh, great for
What's the name of
Kate.
this painting?
Yeah, Kate, what's the name?
I don't think she could hear us.
Oh, well, maybe she'll get an answer later when she sees this, right?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe she'll comment it on there.
I love it.
I know she loves it. It
Yeah,
speaks to her.
it's those colors together too. That's
Hmm.
what, yeah. I mean, the forms are beautiful, but I love those colors together. It's great
I
stuff.
should know. I like to use it as a background for my Zooms.
Yeah, yeah, you're going to have to make a note on that one, Jess.
I will. I will.
So,
I need a tag.
so when someone comes and you have somebody who's new to, and they have the experience of creating a mosaic, and they come to you and they say, I think I want to do this. What's your advice to them? What's your advice to someone new to this who really wants to do it?
Well, I definitely think getting a studio experience is a good first step. It's an expensive art to get into. The tools and material costs can really add up. Glass is expensive. And really in the studio, you can just chip the glass and it gets all over the floor, and that's okay here. Not so good in the carpet at home. So you've got to have an area and the items to take it to the next level. But I'd say start in the studio, get the basic experience, and then you can learn some different things like glass on glass mosaics, so which look like a glass window type of mosaic,
Sure.
and ceramics and 3D, and from there you can kind of get into other things and take other classes.
When you think about the history of mosaics, I mean, was there, because it's something that's happened, I mean, thousands of years. I'm really curious. Was there some part of that history that just speaks to you? Because
I do love to explore the history of Mosaic. It is very interesting, I guess, to me because I love the art form so much. How did it evolve? Where did it change into different styles throughout history and all those things? And it does have a very incredible, long, historic
yeah,
journey,
yeah, it
the
does.
Mosaic.
Yeah, when I look at, I over the years I've been very lucky to travel and to see work in Italy, and other parts of the world. It's fascinating. Um, South America, sometimes very different materials, coming from a very different, kind of a background and experience. Just gives me a whole new window on the art form.
Hmm. It is an amazing applied art, and you really, those huge cultural differences with it too. It's all over the world, and
Yeah.
that's a really fascinating thing about it too.
I'm curious, we're talking about artists in Dayton. And the truth of the matter is that so many of us, we could go anywhere, but many of us make a choice to be here because of the community here. Why is Dayton the place for you? Is it because you were born here, or is this, well, why is it? Why are you here?
Well, I have always felt a great love for this city. It's hard to explain. Many of us Daytonians feel this, I guess. So there is a deep-seated love, a feel for, my people, my city. But also, Dayton is a small enough place where you can know people, you can find the right person, you can network, and there's a great communication here, and there is an openness to allow artists to be a part of the conversation in many different ways. And there's tons of us. It's great, it's cheap to live and work here, but there is a seat at the table for artists in this city, and that is one of the reasons that I like to be here. I can call the DDP and say, hey, I have some amazing ideas for you guys, and Sandy's like, come on in, sit down and chit chat with me. There is always somebody to connect with and maybe help you onto the next level. The network is great, the arts organizations that support us are great, and it's just a wonderful thriving environment for us. So
Wow. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I mean, on that note, as we're looking at where we're at right now, for those of you that are watching this, I guess I want to remind you that artists like Jess across this community are supported in one form, fashion, or another by the work of Culture Works, sometimes directly and sometimes indirectly. But they're very much about why Culture Works exists. So if you out there are interested to learn more about Culture Works, go to the website cultureworks.org. Learn about becoming a member. There are all kinds of advantages and discounts. Discounts at places to eat and discounts for tickets to places to go and to see shows and admissions and all different kinds of things. We're not going to be in this pandemic forever, but while we are right now, this is a time, if there was ever a time, to be able to support the arts and keep this incredible community that we have alive. We have an accessible arts community that's accessible to anybody who wants to be a part of it, or anyone who wants to be that audience for it and watch what's happening. So I strongly encourage anybody out there to go to cultureworks.org and learn what it means to support the arts here in the Dayton area. And before we go, I need you to, one more time, to give us that website for the Mosaic Institute. What is it again?
sure, it is midayton.org.
midayton.org. That's going to be
Got
the
it.
place to go. Jess, thank you so much. This is great.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And one day we'll be able to connect, and we won't have this in between and everything, and I can see more of your work. I love your work. This is great. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.